Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Should You Farm It? Today we are farming Katagawa Jr., found at the end of Atlas HQ, first encountered during the Atlas at Last mission. Normally in this series we farm bosses 50 times and then I bring the results to you. This time though I farm the boss 100 times, every single time on true Vault Hunter mode Mayhem Free. Now I would like to do this with all bosses going forward, but obviously it takes a fair bit more time to farm a boss an additional 50 times, so it will depend on how long the boss takes to farm, and how well the series is doing. If a lot of you are watching and enjoy these videos, then it's far easier to justify spending more of my day working on this stuff. So if you want this series to both continue and improve, please do share this video, and any others in the series, so we can all keep this going. With that out of the way, let's take a look at how the farming process went. In the 100 fights I received a total of 95 legendaries, giving me an overall 95% legendary drop rate from this boss. I'd say this is slightly less than ideal, as you really want to average close to 100. 95 isn't a huge amount less, but it also isn't perfect. As is normal with boss fights, I had a mixture of fights where I'd have no legendaries drop, and others with several dropping at once. For this boss though, the number of fights with 0 legendary drops was 39, far higher than I personally like, as this means there are plenty of times where you won't get anything you want or would even consider. I also only had a single legendary weapon drop a statistically significant number of times, and that was the Storm. This dropped 9 times out of 100 fights, giving a 9% drop rate. This is a Malawon sniper which spawns a trio of shock balls around the point of impact. As snipers go, this would be one of my favourites so far, as it's a great way to deal with heavily shielded enemies from a distance. According to the wiki, Katagawa also has an increased chance of dropping the Firestorm, a similar Malawon sniper that only dropped twice for me. This is basically just the fire version of the Storm. Instead of spawning in hovering shock balls, it summons in a rain of fireballs which will drop on the enemy, burning anything near the point of impact. If you're playing a long-range elemental character, then these are definitely weapons you'll want in your arsenal. Aside from these two guns, the thing I found most significant in this fight was the sheer number of anointed items that dropped. In total, I had 47 anointed items drop, 5 green, 22 blue, 10 purple and 10 orange. A 10% legendary anointed items drop rate is pretty great, and if you're looking for just anointed items in general, then this is definitely a boss worth considering. Katagawa also dropped my very first anointed legendary shield, something I've been waiting for since I first learned that anointed shields were a thing, and I just hadn't had any luck until now. With the loot covered, let's talk about the fight itself. For me, a good fight took me 3 seconds. The death animation for Katagawa is literally 5 times longer than killing him takes. This is thanks to the Brainstormer legendary shotgun, a shock elemental shotgun which chains between nearby enemies to deal massive amounts of damage. Katagawa's opening move is to create multiple clones of himself whilst teleporting away. If you can hit him a few times with a Brainstormer before he can leave his spawn point, then the chain damage will send him straight into his death animation, making this the easiest a fight can possibly be. If playing as Amara, using Phase Grasp on him also seems to be very helpful, especially if you're using the shock element. If you don't have the Brainstormer shotgun, then the chances are you'll have to do this fight the normal way, something that did actually happen to me a couple of times. If this occurs, then you'll need to work out which suit is the real Katagawa, and focus your fire on him. To figure this out, shoot at each clone and pay attention to the health bar on top. If it doesn't move at all when you damage them, then you're fighting a double. If it moves, then you're facing the real Katagawa, and should unload everything at him. He doesn't have all that much health and shield, and will instead use mobility to try and avoid your attacks. If you can react fast, then this fight shouldn't be a problem for you. Even if your reflexes aren't all that amazing, if you just stick with it, you should be able to learn where Katagawa is likely going to move to, and predict where he will be, giving you the edge. All in all, the title question for this episode is an easy answer. Yes, you should farm Katagawa. The high anointed drop rate alone is enough reason to do so. But, if you have a Brainstormer, then this boss is even more worth it. The reason I was able to farm this boss 100 times was because it was just so fast. All the fights with this boss took me about the same amount of time as 50 with any of the previous did. Katagawa is by far one of the best bosses to farm in Borderlands 3, and if you're playing the game, you should be killing him. That is going to be it for this episode. Do make sure to leave a like if you made it this far, and, as I said at the start, do consider sharing the video so that the series can keep going. As always, thanks for watching. Sarge out.